What's an unwritten rule about the road that new drivers should know? Don't be nice, be predictable. What this means is, don't slam on your brakes to let someone else go, drive predictably. Assume everyone else is an idiot. Green means legal, not safe. Assume everyone is a moron trying to crash into you. Merging onto a highway interstate should be a very active process. Try to match the speed of traffic and fit into an open slot. Don't slow down to a crawl and wait for a wide berth. I see way too many people do this shit slowing down. Actually, the only thing that tilts me on the road. I'm with you here, but also at not signaling to turn or switch lanes. I live in STL, 90% of drivers here will never touch their turn signals. Don't trust a turn signal. But also don't trust the absence of a turn signal. In general, just assume the worst from everyone. Explained it to my son. Defensive driving is assuming every other driver is a dumbass until proven otherwise. Proving otherwise usually means they can't do anything stupid and get you into an accident. The car with the most duct tape has the right of way. And U-Haul trucks. Chances are the guy driving a U-Haul truck is driving a vehicle much bigger than he is used to, hasn't had enough sleep, and is having a long day. My friend and I were having a conversation and U-Haul trucks got brought up. Like, how are those just available to anyone to rent? They're actually so much bigger than you might think. You need to be 25 to rent a car. You need to be 18 to rent a U-Haul. So what you're saying is, if you're an exchange student and want to do a road trip around the US, skip Enterprise. Gavin from the Slow Mo Guys just did a podcast recently where he said that his partner Dan just rents a U-Haul when he comes to shoot. Cheaper than renting a car, and they can haul all their equipment more easily. Edit, the podcast is face, it's my favorite and deserves the most amount of sharing. Just 3 friends sharing stories and making insane bets with each other, and also sending porta potties to each other's front yard and sneaking cucumbers into their homes. The only difference is U-Hauls charge per mile with a low $20-day rate, but most rental cars have unlimited miles and cost more per day. I suppose it's just algebra to figure out how much you'd have to drive the rental car before it's cheaper. Or somebody else to themeth. Always leave yourself a way out. My mom taught me this as we lived near a rough neighborhood. Keep enough space between you and the car in front for you to get the duck out of there. Exactly, it's rule number 1 of defensive driving and super bonus I. You won't ever beat fault or be picking up all of your teeth from smashing into someone's boot if you are rear-ended. While this is true, it's mind-boggling how many people try to squeeze into that spot that you leave yourself. Yes, I try to always leave enough room in front of me to get out if needed, but there's always someone squeezing his front quarter panel in there to try to squeeze in. Usually also blocking the right-hand turn lane in the process. Infuriating. Yes. You are right, a significant share of accidents are usually caused by impatient, inexperienced drivers with a propensity to weave change lanes, playing NASCAR without regard to safe distances. Impatient is the key word here. I am basically the least patient person in the world, and because of that I am constantly reminding myself that there's nowhere I could need to be fast enough to drive riskily. Way too many people seem to get about 50x more impatient when they're behind the wheel of a giant, stupidly fast killing machine. Nope. Always know what's around you. Know what cars are behind you or in the lane next to you. That way, if you feel you have to change lanes quickly, you know whether you can or can't. An old boss of mine used to put it this way: on the road, there's 5 people you need to be aware of at all times: the guy in front of you, the guy behind you, the guy directly to your right, the guy directly to your left, and the guy that comes out of ducking nowhere. Plus the car in front of the car in front of you. For the love of God, turn off your brights when you're behind someone else. I'd if it's just me, but a lot of modern cars have headlights of Satan's anus. It is physically painful in my eyes to drive at night for me now. Are you telling me Satan's anus lights up? It's his weak spot. Keep your cool. Road rage kills. I was a passenger during a road rage incident and the other car was shooting at the car I was in. Luckily, neither of us were hit. I'm still afraid of being in a car, sometimes. Almost 20 years ago some dildo pulled a rifle on me over some road rage. The guy had done similar stuff in the past and ended up getting 7 years in prison. He got out after a few years and there was a solid 6-month period when I was paranoid AF just waiting on the dude to show up at my house or something. So yeah, I also know what it's like to get PTSD from road rage lol. If it's raining, put your goddamn lights on. No matter the time of day. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this a written rule? Varies by location. It is here in Massachusetts, wipers on, headlights on, but non-compliance is high. Always. And I mean always. Turn down your music volume when you are attempting to locate an address, number or street sign. Can't see anything through all that noise. It's actually a sensory balancing thing why a lot of us have the instinct to do that. Don't cut corners. I've nearly had head-on collisions because people can't just slow down a little and turn into the lane properly. This, and if you're on the outside of a double turn lane, turn wide so the inner turn lane doesn't have to crash into the median or you to make their turn. If I flash my lights towards you and we're in a well-lit environment, this means your high beams are on and I'm blinded by the lights of 100 suns your car is targeting me with. Also turn your damn high beams off when driving behind other cars. My car's internal light works fine, I do not need extra interior lighting. Flashing your lights off and on at night can be used as a reminder to someone who has forgotten to turn on their headlights. Flashing your headlights can also be used to warn opposing traffic that they're approaching a police officer looking for speeders. Or that there are deer along the road for us woodsy country folks. I always view it as hazard ahead and slow down. That's either deer, dog, cop, F-350 swallowing pothole, herd of children, etc. Try to give other drivers as much information as possible. Always use your turn signals, even in a turn lane. People have no way of knowing if you're actually about to turn or not. The graveyard is full of people who had right of way. When I had my driving lessons, my instructor drilled it into my head that, when you have the right of way, you don't check to see if someone's coming, you just go. Because you have the right of way, and you should just assume everyone else will respect that. He would actually get frustrated if I checked for oncoming traffic. Guy was an absolute idiot in many ways. Use your goddamn turn signals. Before you touch your brakes, not after. I always love when people flip it on midway through the turn. Turn's almost done. One blink. This is worthless.jpg. If someone flashes their lights at you, they're not just a dick, they're trying to communicate something. I drove past someone who flashed their lights at me, slowed down a little because I was confused, and just around the turn was a ducking fallen boulder in the road. I probably wouldn't have stopped in time if I hadn't already been slowing down, thanks to the guy who flashed his lights at me. I know a lot of people do this to warn of police radar too. Flashing light hazard ahead, slow down. Flashing lights at night, turn on your lights dummy. Speed up to match the speed before you try and merge onto a highway. Daytime driving lights are not night driving lights. So many people never turn on their lights at night. It's terrible. They think their daytime lights are their lights. And in the rain. Once upon a time the dashboard wouldn't light up unless your lights were turned on. So if you could barely, or not, see your gauges, it was a reminder to turn your lights on. I'll never understand why this changed. Don't let your tombstone read "Here lies the man with the right of way." People don't follow the rules, so be careful. As a motorcycle rider I learned that the time to dispute your right of way is not when you are under the truck.